1, 2, 3.
Speaking of injuries, bodies breaking down, things like that, another piece of news that has come out in recent weeks, Dan Walsh of the Ego Busters is out. We've heard some rumors about a potential concussion. I'm not going to comment any further on what type of injuries we're dealing with here, but the Ego Busters are without one of their big guns. I mean, he's got the big win over Colt Cabana. He picked up a couple other big wins last season. I think Greg Jovi has really turned to him as one of his cornerstones on his team. So what does that mean to be lacking that piece of his puzzle?
Well, I mean, he's got a lot of pieces. He still has a lot of pieces, yes. And we saw with how good Danny Adams was and the performance he put on against one of the most feared veterans in Jake Durden back in our first stage of this season. He's still got the pieces. Dan Walsh, it'll hurt, but you know, Jovi's tactics aren't going to change. And as long as he has the athletes, Jovi's got the brain, as much as I hate to admit that. He's got the brain and he's got the ability to calculate and strategize, and he knows when he needs to interfere in a match. He knows when he needs to step up. I don't think it's going to change. Now, well, their win-loss record already is off to an interesting start this year as opposed to last. And I think the other teams are catching up with him in terms of talent and in terms of ability and cohesiveness. But his team has hired mercenaries, and he's the glue that keeps them together. I think Dan Walsh is a big loss. I think it's something that he'll feel maybe immediately at this stage, but the amount of athletes he's going to have coming up, it won't change. He has the money, he has the pockets.
And Ego Busters has lost a main person who does do suplexes to inflatable leprechauns, as we saw at stage 1. That was interesting.
Tragedy.
But at the same point as you were saying, Greg Jovi is the puppet master. He's pulling the strings, and they were the puppets. You take one puppet out, you put another puppet in. The puppet master is the same. The puppets are puppets. He calls the shots. He wants them to play dirty. He wants to get those wins no matter what. So it's a big loss, but at the same time, things are going to be the same with the Ego Busters.
So this is where we kind of see we're losing out on Dan Walsh. Takes a hit on the Ego Busters, though. We have Danny Adams, who, again, good showing at stage 1, teaming up with a couple of up-and-comers in the Midwest area in a 6-man tag against JoJo Bravo and the Viking War Party. Now, Jovi might be pulling the strings on the puppets here, but I feel like the Ego Busters are clearly outmatched in the 6-man tag. Do you think it was wise to bring in a couple of unknowns to PWCS for a match of this magnitude?
I actually think it is. There's wisdom to it. There's the idea that, yeah, they might not be good, but you know that Jovi is going to get someone who's an athlete. I mean, you look at Danny Adams. He's got a lot of tools. He's got a lot of things working for him. He is a tool, too. I guess we should mention that. You got 2 more coming in, but you look at the way that the Blacklist has performed. They have really had a rough go of it in round 1, and you know, they've got some new chemistry, new teammates to play with, and different levels of knowledge of one another. So the talent's certainly there with the Vikings and with JoJo Bravo, but, you know, there's something about being reckless and young and having a guy like Jovi screaming at you for 20 minutes in a match. And I think these guys can make some noise. Do I think they'll win? No, probably not. But I think that's not the statement Jovi is making. He's saying, it doesn't matter that we're without Walsh. It doesn't matter we're without our big guys.
So you're taking the Blacklist in the 6-man tag?
Yeah, probably. But it's going to be a good match. You're going to be surprised at what Greg has up his sleeve.
I'm with the Blacklist because of the chemistry. The Viking War Party is a very exciting tag team. You know, they come out, they're reckless, they throw chairs in the ring, and we all have to scramble and dodge out of the way. And they're exciting. They even beat each other up. So they're just this team that can show a good show. And you have the poster boy of the PWCS, JoJo Bravo, who led his team to the championship last season, versus the team that is led by the most hated man in PWCS, Greg Jovi, with Danny Adams, who is still new. He was at the championship last year. He was at stage 1, still a fresh face, and 2 new faces. Everybody's going to be backing the Blacklist.